Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing with you guys 6 recipes that I tried out over the past couple of weeks that I think you guys will absolutely love. I've been really enjoying cooking new things lately, and I found a lot of these recipes on Pinterest, so I tried them out, and I just felt like sharing them with you guys to give you guys some more inspiration for meals during the week, so I hope you guys enjoy this video. The first dinner that I'm going to be sharing with you is my healthy chicken Alfredo bake. And this is actually one meal that I kind of just threw together myself because I thought it sounded good. And basically all you'll need is just pasta, Alfredo sauce, cheese, mushrooms, broccoli, and grilled chicken. And the first thing that I'm doing is just cooking the broccoli. I just picked steamable broccoli that you can put in the microwave, but you can make the broccoli however you want. And then I just preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and I'm just spraying my baking dish with some nonstick spray. Now all I'm doing here is just boiling water for the pasta, and then I'm also going to get this pan prepped to cook the mushrooms and the chicken. Now I personally like to use the protein pasta, and I'm also using just a little bit of extra pasta that I had left over, but you can use whatever you like. You can use veggie pasta, whole wheat pasta, or just plain. It doesn't really matter. And then I am just adding the mushrooms to the pan, and I'm just going to saute these up for a little bit, and then I'm going to add the chicken to them as well and just cook those until they're done. Now I'm just adding a small drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, and then I'm also going to season the chicken and the mushrooms with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and I believe that I added Italian seasoning as well. Now that my broccoli is done cooking in the microwave, I'm just seasoning it with some spray butter and salt and pepper. After draining the pasta, you pretty much just add all of the ingredients to the pot. I'm just using 2 jars of the Classico light Alfredo sauce, and then I'm going to add the chicken and the mushrooms, and then just dump the whole entire bag of broccoli in there, and I'm just mixing it up really, really well. After you're done mixing your pasta really well, you're just going to go ahead and dump the entire pot into your baking dish and just spread it out evenly. And you're going to sprinkle your cheese on top. Again, I use mozzarella cheese, and I use a good amount of it because we like cheese, but it's something that you can just add as much or as little of as you want. And then after this, you're just going to pop the dish into the oven for 20 minutes, cooked at 400 degrees. And after that, it is going to be done. And you guys, this meal was absolutely delicious. It was so good, and it made for great leftovers as well. So next up is taco sloppy joes, and I got the inspiration for this from Pinterest, but I kind of just put it together myself. And all you'll need is meat, and I use lean ground beef, taco seasoning, and again I use less sodium, hamburger buns, lettuce, and Mexican cheese. And then I also used a couple condiments, just salsa, some sauce from Tijuana Flats, and Tostitos queso. So this meal is definitely on the easier side to make. You basically just brown your meat, and then you're going to drain any extra grease or fat that is left over in the pan. And after that, you're going to add your taco seasoning, and some taco seasonings are different, but you usually have to add a little bit of water to them. So I'm just doing that here. And then I also ended up adding just a little bit of salsa to kind of just like thicken the meat sauce up. Now you're just going to build your sandwich, and my sandwich was a little bit different than Johnny's. I just added the meat to it, and then I personally put queso on it. Johnny doesn't like queso, but I put that on mine. And you can also top it with cheese, salsa, lettuce, pretty much anything you would put on a taco you can put on your sandwich here. And then we also ended up pairing these sloppy joes with french fries, but again, you can choose to do it with tortilla chips or vegetables if you like. This next recipe is something that I found on Pinterest, and it's one of my new favorite recipes to add into our dinner rotation, and that is the Italian spaghetti squash bake. So all you'll need is a spaghetti squash, some chopped onions, mozzarella cheese, mushrooms, lean ground beef, tomato paste, and your choice of red sauce. And as you can see here, I try to stick to like the healthier versions of things, like the lower calorie and that kind of stuff. So again, this is just all up to your taste. The first thing I'm going to do is just preheat my oven to 375 degrees, and then I'm going to place the entire spaghetti squash into the microwave for 5 minutes just to soften it up enough for me to be able to cut it in half. Okay, and just as a disclaimer, I never claim to be like an expert chef or anything, so don't come at me in the comments for the way that I'm cooking things or what I'm using or anything like that. But anyways, once you manage to get your spaghetti squash cut in half, go ahead and just drizzle it with some olive oil and place the halves face down in a baking dish. And I put mine in the microwave. I know some people put it in the oven, but I just popped mine in the microwave for 10 minutes to get it soft enough to shred. Now I am just spraying my pan with some nonstick spray, and I'm going to add my mushrooms to them, and then I'm also going to add the lean ground beef, and then lastly I'll add the chopped onions on top, and I'm also going to season it with salt, pepper, and Italian seasoning. Again, you can season it with whatever you like. And you're just going to cook this up until the meat is brown and everything looks like it's nice and cooked. Now that my spaghetti squash is done cooking, I'm just going to flip them over and get all of the seeds out with a spoon, just because you don't want any seeds in your spaghetti squash. So I'm just taking that out, and then I'm going to let it sit and cool for a couple of minutes so I can shred it. So after you're done draining your meat, you're going to go ahead and add your entire jar of spaghetti sauce and 2 tablespoons of the tomato paste to the meat, and you're just going to mix it really well and let it simmer for just a minute or two until it looks like it's just really good and combined together well. So in the meantime, since your spaghetti squash has now probably cooled off enough, you can go ahead and shred it now. But I just feel like dancing. Are you feeling the groove? Oh baby, won't you love me? Won't you love me? Won't you love me? Love me like yesterday. So I made the last minute decision to add some spinach to this just for some extra nutrients and greens. You don't have to add this. Again, a lot of these things that I'm doing are really customizable, so you don't have to do everything that I'm doing. But now I'm just adding my meat sauce, and I'm combining everything together really well. Again, another last minute decision here to just sprinkle a little bit of breadcrumbs on top before adding my mozzarella cheese. And then afterwards, I'm just going to pop this in the oven for about 20 minutes baked at 375 degrees. And like I said in the beginning, you guys, this was so good. One of my favorite new recipes that I have made. The only difference I would probably make is adding a little more spaghetti squash, just because it was a little bit saucy, which I'm not complaining about, but that's probably the only change I would make. This was so good. So this next recipe is a very quick and easy one, and that is chicken Caesar wraps. We love having these for dinners and pairing it with fries, and all you'll need for this are just whatever wrap you like: grilled chicken, Caesar dressing, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, and croutons. And this is just what we use. Again, you can add whatever kind of toppings you want. You don't even need to use the cheese or the croutons or anything like that, but Johnny personally just likes having that extra stuff in his, and I like the extra cheese in mine. What's left of me? And much like these other recipes that I have shown you guys already, I'm just spraying my pan and adding my meat, which is chicken in this case, and I am using the Tyson frozen grilled diced chicken, and I love this brand, but I also do love the Aldi brand as well. I just happen to be out of it for this recipe, and again, just season however you like. And the reason I love this frozen grilled chicken so much is that it seriously heats up in 10 minutes or less. Now you're just going to build your wrap, and for Johnny's wrap, I just put light Caesar dressing, lettuce, the grilled chicken, some mozzarella cheese, and then I also added his croutons in it as well. I don't personally like croutons in my wraps because I feel like it makes it harder to eat, but he loves that kind of stuff. And these are perfect because you can kind of customize them however you want. You can just do the chicken with the dressing and that's it, or you can add lettuce, you can add extra cheese. You really can make it however you want. And like I said, we love pairing this meal with just fries on the side. It just makes for a quick and relatively healthy and easy dinner. This next meal is straight from Pinterest, and all you'll need is some ground turkey, diced yellow onion, a red pepper, sweet potatoes, and mozzarella cheese. And the first thing you're going to do is preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and then you are going to start a pot of water and get that boiling so you can put the sweet potatoes in them. And now I'm just peeling my sweet potatoes, and I'm going to boil them in the water for about 10 minutes just to soften them up a bit, because I am going to be using a cast iron skillet in this recipe, which if you've never used one, they're a little bit complicated to work with if you're new to them. And I do want to say that, again, I was a newbie, so I didn't know you had to pre-season the cast iron skillet, so I kind of like ended up burning the bottom of mine a little bit. But it's fine, it all worked out. So anyways, you're gonna add your sweet potatoes to the water so they can boil, and while you are doing that, you can go ahead and start chopping up your red pepper. So now I'm just adding some extra virgin olive oil to my cast iron skillet, and I'm just going to add my red pepper in there as well to get them sauteed. And after that, I'm going to take out my sweet potatoes from the boiling water, just because they are now softened up enough for me to be able to cut them up but not fall apart. Next, you're going to add your yellow onion and your ground turkey to the skillet, and while that is cooking, you're going to go ahead and dice up your sweet potato as well, and then add that to the skillet as well. This recipe also does call for a little bit of red chili flakes. I didn't add too much to mine just because I don't like things very spicy, but you can add as much as you like to your taste. Now you're basically just going to let this cook for about 10 to 15 minutes or until your sweet potatoes are tender. And the recipe does call for you to put the cast iron skillet cover on it, but I did not have one, so I just put a wooden cutting board over top of mine. Again, don't judge me, I'm not an expert at cooking, and this was also my first time doing this recipe and using a cast iron skillet. But you're basically just going to keep cooking it until they're tender, so for me it took about 10 to 15 minutes. And after you think that your sweet potatoes are done, just go ahead and sprinkle your mozzarella cheese on top. Now you're just going to pop the entire skillet into the oven at 400 degrees to bake for about 5 minutes or so, and then I also broiled it for a couple of minutes just so the cheese is melted on top, and that's it. This recipe was a bit of a challenge, but it was delicious. So this last recipe is going to be my version of healthy chicken parmesan, and all you will need is breadcrumbs, Parmesan cheese, thinly sliced chicken breast, red sauce, mozzarella cheese, and zucchinis. And the first thing you're going to do is just preheat your oven to 425, and after that you're going to put the breadcrumbs in one bowl and then mix up an egg in the other, and this is just to coat your chicken breast in a nice light and crispy coating to be baked in the oven. And all you need to do is just dip each chicken breast in the egg wash and then dunk it in the breadcrumbs and place it on the pan.
Saturday, and I promise I'll love you much better now. The sour taste will wash away, 'cause I promise I'm better now. Wouldn't hold it against you if you say that you don't wanna get close to me, close to what we used to be. But I just feel like dancing. Are you feeling it too? Oh baby, won't you love me? Won't you love me? Won't you love me? Love me like yesterday. Don't you feel?
After you're done coating all of your chicken, you're just going to pop it in the oven for anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And I just picked a random time, I guess, for this one, and I picked 17 minutes just because my chicken breast was really thinly sliced. And next you're going to just wash off your zucchini, and for this you will also need a vegetable spiralizer, so if you don't have one, that is something you will need. I got this one that I'm about to use for like $10 at Target. So I'm just adding some extra virgin olive oil to my pan, and then I'm just going to spiralize 2 zucchinis. And while I'm spiralizing it, I do stop sometimes to cut the noodles because they can get too long, so that's what I'm doing here. So the zucchini does cook pretty quickly, so you're just going to season it however you like. Again, I use salt, pepper, and Italian seasoning, and I'm just mixing it up and making sure it cooks really well and evenly. And this will probably take anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes, just depending on how big your pan is and how much zucchini you're using and all of that. So after you set your timer for your chicken, you're going to go ahead and just take it out of the oven and pour your red sauce on top, and then you're also going to put the cheese on top as well. And then you're just going to pop it back in the oven from anywhere to 3 to 5 minutes, if I had to guess, just to make sure that the cheese is nice and melted. So now that your zucchini is just about done, you're going to go ahead and add your red sauce to it and just mix it up nice and good so it tastes kind of like spaghetti as a side dish for your chicken. And then after this, you're just going to go ahead and broil your chicken for another minute or two, just so, again, the cheese is nice and melted. I love broiling things for that reason. And after that, you are done. And this recipe is one of our absolute favorites, and we have it so much. It's just so good. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it gave you guys some ideas and inspiration for new meals to try out for you and your family this week. And if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.
Tell me you're feeling it too, babe. And love me like yesterday. Oh, but kinda new.